Okay, we live? Are we live? Yes, we're live. Good morning. Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Oh, man, oh man. So, a lot has happened in this past, day or so? 2 days? Day or two? A lot has happened. I've been getting over this. I'm not sure what I caught, but I caught something. I don't like doctors, so I don't go to doctors. But I caught something. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't severe. I just had fatigue. I had to rest. I've been no cough at all. But my voice might be a little off. Just bear with me. Bear with me here. I took a few days off from work, sort of isolate myself and get myself together. And I've been keeping up with the news. I just really haven't felt like covering everything until I saw this story. Excuse me. Many of you remember I covered this story back when it broke in November 2018, I believe. November 2018 is when this actually happened. When the baby was actually killed by the dogs. And some of you have maybe noticed that this story has resurfaced, excuse me, has resurfaced because there's some additional information here that I want to deal with. Um, and this was a crazy story back when it first broke. Right? It was crazy back then, but now as it develops, it's getting even crazier. Um, yeah, one of the worst stories, man. One of the worst stories. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm not alone. All right. Yeah. I hope y'all get better. Whoever may be sick, definitely I hope you get better because, man, I do not miss that feeling. I do not miss that feeling. And constant fatigue, I really hate that because I like to be active. Right. But yeah, horrible story here. But the headline got my attention, obviously. Right? I know I'm not alone with this headline here. Why? Like, why even volunteer this information? Now, I titled it The Death of Reuben McNulty. It's really the sacrifice. I always mean sacrifice. I just don't want to, sometimes I want a serious headline because I want as many people to watch these videos as possible. But this was a sacrifice by the state, the parents, man, even from, well, yeah, I think dog regulation and stuff like that, I think that's just on the state level. So sacrifice by the state, sacrifice by the parents, and everybody else who is involved in putting dogs into people's homes. They're also responsible. Blood is on everybody's hands with all of these killings. This is a crazy world we live in. And it's really crazy how our laws don't mean anything. How much of our laws and whether or not we enforce them is based on perception and how a situation is described or labeled. You can twist almost anything and say, oh, it was an accident. So no charges for anybody. And that happens, that pattern repeats itself with these dog attacks. So you see the headline. The adults, or the parents, said that the dog may have thought the baby was a squeaky toy. Oh man, a squeaky toy. Well, you know, if you have a deadly creature in the home and it could possibly mistake a baby for a squeaky toy, that sounds like a good reason not to have it in the home, not to trust it at all. That's pretty over the top. That's pretty overt. And they all knew this. The dogs could, and I don't believe that. Dogs tend to smell. I think they know a living creature when they smell it. They can smell your hormones. Why wouldn't they be able to smell, like, you know, the plasma in your body or in your blood? I'm not convinced that dogs don't know that they attack a living organism when they attack babies. I don't believe that. Now, I'm not an expert in really anything I talk about, people. Anything I say in here, please try to reinforce what I say or disprove it by keeping Google handy and looking up anything. You find something, please correct me in the chat room. These live streams are not about me teaching people anything. I want to communicate with the people out there about a subject that very few people deal with. But this family, this couple here had a very unfortunate situation, and I want to go over it here. They claim that the dogs thought the baby was a squeaky toy. Nothing has happened to them. They were arrested initially, but let's go over this story. And it's such, it's not that long, but it's not that short either. But it's one of the best written articles I've read. I hate to bore people reading long articles. Y'all know that. So I skim through it. Well, I read it in its entirety myself. And then when I go live, I'll sum it up, do a little summary. But this one is well written. And every paragraph has vital information. And I want y'all to keep up with this, because this is crazy. This is a crazy, very scary story. Family dog that mauled 2-week-old baby after his mother fell asleep on the sofa may have thought the newborn was a squeaky toy, an inquest has heard. Newborn Reuben McNulty was sitting on a teddy bear next to his mother, Amy, when the mutt attacked. His father, who had been outside smoking, heard crying. As he returned to the flat, he discovered what had happened. Unbelievable. Right there, that's something out of a horror movie. You go out, smoke a cigarette, you come back in, you find your newborn mutilated. And it's even worse than that. It continues. Reuben spent nearly a month in the hospital fighting for his life, Reuben the baby, but died December 13th. An inquest in his death that opened on Tuesday. Okay, now that's Tuesday this week, or yesterday. I believe, it's not mistaken, yesterday. Yeah. Said that the father in the 999 call, I think is it 911? The father said, I think the effing dog attacked him. My partner was asleep. I just heard crying. Okay, that's what the father said. In a police interview summarized by the coroner, McNulty said he'd returned to the flat and he saw the injuries. He saw his injured baby, and then he saw the dog licking its lips. Now they're going to use the dog's name all throughout. So just so you know who they're talking about and why I refuse to repeat the name of these mutts. So look at that. You go smoke a cigarette, you come back, you find your newborn bloodied skull is crushed. Then you see a mutt bloody mouth licking its lips. Really? Really? Don't, you know, the idea is that they had no idea that this could happen. That there was no way that they could know or possibly predict that this was possible. That is a lie. That is a lie. And if that changes, just that right there, if that changes, every one of these dog owners will go to jail. They will be, every one of them. They avoid jail time. They avoid being, or really prison. They avoid it all based on a big fat overt lie. That lie is there was no way they could know or suspect or predict that the dog could attack the baby or child. And that is a ridiculous. That's offensive. That's offensive for someone to try to argue that to me. No way. Specialists in veterinary forensics said there were 23 individual puncture marks to Reuben, which could have come from at least 4 to 5 bites or engagements. Worthless, cowardly mutt knew that this baby was not a squeaky toy. We all know that. You really expect there's no predator on this planet that dumb. And I know we talk about how dumb dogs are. Not even dogs are that dumb. Predators, at the very least, they know when they've bitten into a living organism. So this argument that the dog didn't know it was killing a baby is a lie, and it can't possibly be argued. If that were true, it would have bitten the baby once, not multiple times. So the baby actually started crying. The baby started crying in between bites. And that's when the father heard the cries. 23 individual bites. They suspect Reuben was shaken between engagements. This attack would have lasted a minute or longer. Can you imagine a dog attacking a baby for a minute, for 60 seconds? You know how long that is? Yeah, that mutt knew that it was killing the baby. He said he believed the mutt saw the baby as a small prey or squeaky toy. Well, here he includes small prey. That makes more sense. Of course. Prey as in a human baby. So if you know that this thing could view your baby as prey or toy and attack, you're guilty. You're guilty. That is a breaking of the law, child endangerment laws. How these people got off is beyond me. The dog and a second dog, see how they include the names of both dogs, and they do this repeatedly. Both dogs were female and aged around 7 and 9 years old, were seized by police and later destroyed. Mr. Milburn said it's clear on any reading of evidence there had been no previous issues or concerns with either of those dogs. That's always the case. That's always what they say. And that's exactly why they say that the dog is safe to be around kids and babies, because it has never shown aggression towards babies or kids. Doesn't it sound like we can't rely on this anymore? At what point do you say, okay, you know what, we can't rely on the fact that the dog has never attacked or shown aggression. We can't rely on that anymore. Over 90% of the cases we have, the dogs had never shown aggression. Even their own rhetoric, it doesn't get supported by the cases, and nobody calls them out on how the cases don't coincide with the rhetoric. I mean, if what they say were true, then over 90% of these cases would involve a dog that had previously shown aggression. So it sounds like to me, dogs that have never shown aggression before are the ones most likely to eventually show aggression in the future. Crazy. There's evidence that both parents were suffering from tiredness. Listen to this. Listen to this case here and how it makes a case of defense for the parents. It's scary. It is some scary stuff, this article. You can find it. If I find it, all you have to do is Google this title. Google this title. This article works hard to justify the sacrifice and make sure nothing happens to the parents. It says there's evidence that both parents were suffering from tiredness, understandably, as a result of caring for a newborn baby, and evidence they had agreements as to who would have a turn at sleep and look after Reuben at various times. Miss Litchfield told police in interviews she remembered her partner saying he was going out for a cigarette but fell asleep before he had come back. You know, this mother took sleeping pills. She took sleeping pills to fall asleep. So it doesn't matter if you the adult, if you're there with the dog. If you take sleeping pills and pass out, that baby is there alone. We all know that. And if they did a simple Google and did their research, they'd see that this happens all the time. The dogs will always attack after the adult falls asleep. This has happened numerous times. For anybody who wants a summary on fatalities and the cases surrounding them, the best thing you can do is go to Wikipedia. Just type in list of dog attacks, Wikipedia, and check out the stories that you see there. You're going to run into that all the time. Adults fell asleep and the dog attacked. But look at this. Quote, I think the best way to characterize that series of events is that it was an unintentional short period of inadvertent inattention, which sadly had horrific and tragic consequences. Get a whiff of that word soup. What? Let's highlight that whole thing. They said it was an unintentional short period of inadvertent inattention. What? They're trying hard to justify this sacrifice. It wasn't unintentional. She meant to fall asleep. That's why she took the sleeping pills. He meant to smoke a cigarette. You mean there's nothing unintentional? For unintentional short period of inadvertent inattention. Inadvertent inattention. That's how they describe the father going outside smoking a cigarette and the mother taking a dose of sleeping pills and passing out. Really? See how they try to soften the blow? Try to deceive you, deceive us. Try to remove, they're trying to remove the criminality of the scenario. Trying to make the criminal behaviors, breaking of the law of child endangerment. They're trying to make it sound like it wasn't actually that. Like it was just some innocent, harmless thing that they did. No. They brought two massive killers into the home. And as if that's not bad enough, the father leaves his wife and baby alone with them. But if that's not bad enough, the mother proceeds to pop sleeping pills and pass out. That tops the list of examples of child endangerment. That tops the list, man. We're going to hammer this home. We're going to hammer this home. I don't care if I have to do this for the rest of my life. I'm pointing this out. I'm telling you, in a world as crazy as this world is, this is one of the craziest things that goes on this planet. Okay, this article continues. Unbelievable. Describe this scenario like that, man. Recording a narrative conclusion, he said. Reuben died as a result of head injuries caused when he was attacked by a dog, which was a family pet inside his home address. So I guess, you know, this is one of the things they do. They refer to dogs as family pets. to make them seem less dangerous, you know, to make them seem more cuddly and harmless. That's why they do that. These are deadly predators with aggression problems, and they bend over backwards to cover this up. Detective Sergeant Emma Compson said police would take no, oh, here you go. Police would take no further action against Mr. McNulty or Miss Litchfield, who were arrested at the time of the attack. She added the pair had separated as a result of the trauma. Social worker Sophie Bradley said Miss Litchfield described the dogs as her babies and had been warned. Dogs can be unpredictable and can get jealous. So she was warned that they can be unpredictable and get jealous. She kept the dogs anyways and referred to the dogs as her babies. You know, you dog nuts, this is what I want to point out here for you all. The way you project dogs as being no different from babies or 2-year-old kids. Babies and 2-year-old kids don't do this to their siblings. The baby is incapable of mauling the dog. The baby can't do to the dog what the dog can do to the baby. Now, forgive me for even have to, explain this. I'm embarrassed. It's insulting to even explain this to anybody. This is common sense. Well, we've let them get away with this rhetoric for so long that they're serious when they talk about dogs as being their babies. We gotta shut that down. We gotta shut that. There's nothing about how dogs operate that makes them even remotely similar to human babies, kids. So she had been warned that the dogs could be jealous and unpredictable. She said that on visits, both dogs were very friendly and didn't show any sign of aggression. She said that as a part of a child protection plan by social services, it was agreed that Mr. McNulty and Miss Litchfield would keep the dogs in the kitchen behind a stair gate, which they already had in place. Reuben's grandmother said, "I've never seen or known the dogs to be aggressive towards anyone." Now, let's say you have an empty room, and I say, "Hey, this is your room. Go ahead and design it, decorate it however you want." And you have a family. So I come back, I see that you have put furniture and a whole bunch of stuff inside of this room. Now, if I ask you, I say, okay, now that you have brought a bunch of stuff inside of this room that I've given you, I have a question for you. Is there anything in this room that a child or baby could get a hold of and hurt themselves? Could a child possibly shoot themselves Now that you've put all that stuff in that room, if you say yes, then you're guilty of child endangerment, even if the child does not touch it, right? Because you got a loaded gun somewhere in that room, and that makes you guilty, right? It's simple. That's not rocket science. That's the endangerment laws. You leave a knife on the table in a room with 2 kids, you're guilty of child endangerment, right? You're coming with us. Now, if I ask you, if I say, is there anything in that room that can mutilate a baby? Right? Is there anything in that room that could mutilate a baby? If I ask you that and you have a bully breed, you got 2 bully breeds. This woman had 2 bully breeds. Could you possibly say no? Not even a dog nut could say no. There's no way. They all know that it's possible that the dog could attack their baby. No, we cannot let these people play that dumb. See, our laws allow these people to play dumb. It caters to their dumbness. No, nobody is allowed to play that dumb. If you get a dog in the house, you know full well that there is a chance now that the baby could be mauled. Now, if there is no dog, you can truthfully say, no, there's nothing here that could get a hold of my baby and maul my baby. Truthfully, you could then say that. If there is a dog, people, dog nuts themselves would have to admit, yes, there's a dog. They could elaborate and say, well, but it's never shown any aggression and we've raised her from a puppy. Yeah, you can go ahead and include all that. But you have to be truthful and say, yes, there's a dog here. Although I seriously doubt it's going to happen, yeah, the dog could attack the baby, could attack the child. And people, that's all that is required to be guilty of child endangerment. All that's required is that the adult is aware that there is a threat in the home. So how in the world, how are cases ending like this, where they're talking about an unintentional short period of inadvertent inattention? Wouldn't that apply to a toddler getting a hold of a gun as well? I mean, if we're going to get philosophical like that, you can apply that to anything. Things that we consider child endangerment. Well, you can apply this word suit to it. Man, oh man. This world, it's going down the drain. It's going down the drain. What? How crazy is this? I can't believe people getting away with this. It is unbelievable. I mean, you got This is really no different from like child abuse, from an adult just balling up his fist and going ham on his child. I mean, there's not much that separates them. You you're gonna lay up here with a newborn inside a house with two bully breeds. To even bring that newborn inside the house, you got to be out of your mind. And then you're gonna leave your family. You're gonna go out and smoke a cigarette. You're gonna leave those dogs alone with your baby. And you, the guardian, you're gonna pop some sleeping pills. My goodness. My goodness. So this is crazy. This is crazy. And I'm not looking forward to the ending of this. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this case here, but I can't remember any time when someone was actually prosecuted, found guilty of child endangerment. I can't even remember the last time in a situation like this where the family dog, the so-called family dog, attacked the baby or the child. Unbelievable stuff here, man. Let me show y'all something else here. Where is that? Database. Let me see if I can find something. What did I do with that? Where is it? Okay, I can't find it. I cannot find it. Now, I shared some incorrect information with y'all the other day on the live stream. There's more than 273 therapy dogs throughout the United States. I'm pretty sure many of you knew that. But like I said, I'm learning pretty much almost everything right along with you all. As I share with you, I've learned it. You know? But apparently, there are over 50,000 therapy dogs in the United States. These dogs and their handlers go into hospitals and other facilities and interact with patients. 50,000. So you're not a dog owner, you feel safe and all that. But because 50,000 dogs are being sent into different facilities that you frequent, it's almost the same as you still owning a dog, because they're allowing dogs to contaminate different areas of society where previously the dogs were not even allowed. Okay, so if there were diseases being passed around through dogs, if dogs were the primary hosts that was spreading the disease, you can't avoid it by not being a dog lover or a dog owner, because dogs infest everything and everywhere, right? 50,000. How many hospitals do we have? Right? Now, this is what I'm going to get into on the next live stream. Okay. And I want to sort of give people an overview because I'm going to definitely need additional input. But I want you to think about this. If that's the case, can you believe that they also still admit things like this? I don't know if you can see this right here. We still lack data for almost 90% of zoonotic viruses in wild mammal species. We still lack data for almost 90% of zoonotic viruses in wild animals. Doesn't that sound scary? How could you? How is that even possible? I mean, it's bad enough. Cases like this is bad enough, where they ignore their laws and they make no attempt to protect the youth, the general public. This is bad enough. On top of that, they are almost completely uncertain and ignorant about viruses in general. One thing they do know is that a bunch of viruses come from animals. They jump from the animal world to humans. In our society, we have a bunch of animals, but we really don't have contact with them. But the one way we have contact with all of them is through dogs. Dogs basically go out and sweep up all the foul, literally the waste of other animals, either licking it, drinking it, eating it, and then they bring it back into our homes. So it's smart to avoid dogs. But yet those same dogs are being sent into thousands of hospitals and other facilities in the United States. You know, it's hard for me to believe that they're not aware of this. That this is just some theory of mine. This ain't no personal theory of mine. The educated people in the medical field have to be aware of this as well. The dogs are the perfect host. That if there's something going around in bats, in ducks, squirrels, whatever, if there's something going around in those animals, then the best animal to usher those to us would be dogs. The most effective. You get some other pet, it's not going to eat that stuff, roll around in it. Despite this, despite all of these diseases that have already hit us and continue to hit us, nothing is said or done about dogs at all. The only thing that's being done is dogs are being treated more and more like clean creatures that are just as clean as a human being. They're being humanized more and more and more. But what we got to understand, what I'm going to talk about in the live stream is the fact that there has already been many health professionals who've pointed this exact thing out already. And we're going to go over the writings, the words of those healthcare professionals. And I'm going to try to do this as often as possible. I don't want you to quote me. I'm going to bring the words of other people who've been educated, who said the same things that I've said. Dogs are a national health hazard. They are so just as much of an overt health hazard as they are an overt safety hazard. And I mean, if you just look at the safety hazard alone, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And how everyone bends over backwards to not look at it as a safety hazard. To the point where they just contradict themselves. And if you look at them as a safety hazard, a health hazard, it is just as mind-blowing. It's just as mind-blowing. They're just as overt of a health hazard as they are a safety hazard. And we should have learned this from the previous pandemics that dogs were chiefly responsible for, in my opinion. Right? So I hope you all will be able to join me for that live stream. Most likely I'll get it done sometime today. I'm not sure exactly when. And I feel terrible that I can't give people a proper time. But a lot of things that I'm doing here recently is like spontaneous. Like I don't know certain things, so I can't really give a time. But it will be today sometime. And man, oh man, we need relief. We need relief. This has to come to some sort of halt, because it's getting out of control. It's out of control at this point. I don't like feeling sick, and I know it's because of this environment, this nasty environment that has been created. People will be intimate with their dog and come to work, start touching on everything, all in your face, talking, breathing, touching you all over. It's a recipe for disaster. And it wouldn't be nearly as bad if these people would get dogs out of our society. I don't think that's asking for too much. But I digress. I often wonder if some of these people see these videos, the parents of the victims. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I wonder if the family of the victims see these videos. And if they do, what do they think? What do they feel? Are they still dog lovers? Has anything changed? And I'm not confident about that. I seriously don't think so. Their value for life in general most likely is still very low. Even after the incident and even after watching a video like this, nothing changes. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Missy May. I think Missy May in the super chat. I missed the super chat. My apologies. I missed the super chat. Shout out to you. Charles D. Curry. Shout out to Charles D. Curry in the super chat. Wow. A lot of people up today. Chef in the building. Ashley. Mr. Payne in the building. Jupiter. What are y'all doing up, man? I didn't think y'all would be up. Oh, no. Oh, I'm to be honest, people. Sometimes I get depressed. Sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes I cannot help it. I get depressed. It's like, man, you report on these cases. You're passionate about it. You give advice as best as you know how, and to just see the same scenario replay itself over and over is depressing. It's depressing. And it gives you this sense that there is no help for humanity. They cannot be helped. They cannot be changed. The only thing that happens is every now and then people like us pop up, which are far and few in between. That's the scariest part of all. How slow it takes for people to realize how devilish and inhumane this lifestyle is. Something that's so obviously inhumane and crazy. It's like it's impossible for over 90% of the population to see how dangerous and crazy and sickening this lifestyle is. That gets depressing with me at times. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. On top of everything else, they have a whole list of excuses for the dogs. Well, the dog attacked because it was startled. It attacked because you moved too fast. You were running. You triggered its prey instinct, right? A loud noise. That's why it attacked. It had a stomach ache. It was in a little bit of pain, and it attacked you. It's not the dog's fault. You got too close to its master, to its food. It's not the dog's fault. Can't blame the dog. A long list of excuses for the dog. This is a big reason I hate dogs so much. Because of how they're given such a pass to attack the same people that take care of them. I mean, relentlessly. These people take care of dogs religiously, man. And these things are dedicated and loyal, dedicated to attacking us like no other animal on this planet. Boy, oh boy. So I just wanted to talk briefly about this case here. Hopefully we're around to see a change, a major change in our laws. There's a lot of articles that are about our laws around the country that surface here, and most of them, it is not good. It's not good. They're always lenient and trying to give dogs more freedom to attack, more freedom to terrorize the neighborhood. Leash laws are always being loosened up. Um, it's just a sad, sad situation. And sadly, the best thing we can do is arm ourselves. You know, that's the strongest bit of law we have on our side, is our right to defend ourselves, use lethal force against a dog. But we have to wait until the dog approaches us aggressively. At least that's the law in most states. I know it is here in Ohio. But better that than getting mutilated. I'll take the chance, right? So I hope any of you who have problems with guns, I hope you experiment. I'm sure you'll be able to find a very small, a real tiny, you know, y'all seen those little tiny guns? You'll be able to find something you can just keep in your purse, keep on your person somewhere. I think if more people shoot dogs in self-defense, if that happens more often, then these people will finally get the message. That'll be the first step in the right direction, in my opinion. Man. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how almost anything can kill dogs. They eat almost anything. You know, a lot of things that are natural, they can't eat either. It'll kill them. Yeah, was it chocolate, xylitol? Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, yeah. Older people with dogs. What is this? What is an 80-year-old doing with a pit bull? Oh, 65, 70-year-old. Why do these people have dogs? They can't control those dogs. And there's no law against them owning these dogs. That's the crazy part. Yeah. Oh, we got robots in here. What the hell? Yeah. 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 Whoa. Oh, wow. You say the parents wouldn't hold their baby after their baby was attacked? This was in 2018. This happened in 2018. And they've come here in 2022 and said that the dogs probably thought the baby was a squeaky toy. Now, I don't know if they're just trying to make sure that they get off or what that's all about. But it sounds like they're incriminating themselves, along with other dog nuts. Okay, you admit that you know that a dog can mistake a baby for a prey or squeaky toy. You basically admitting, yeah, I know that there's a danger. Yeah, I know that there's a threat, and I'm gonna take the chance anyway, so I can get these Instagram photos and get these likes up. Uh, here, pit bull with my baby, my newborn baby, alone with my newborn baby. You notice how a photo with an adult with the baby and the dog, they don't appreciate that as much as the baby alone with the dog. That's their favorite type of photo. Whether not even if it's a child or baby. Get them in a photo alone together. Those are their favorite types of photos. If there's an adult in the photo, well, that doesn't look as dangerous. So that's why they dislike it. Now, these people, they're just programmed to kill themselves. The general population just programmed. I've never, all throughout history, I've never researched anything like this. This current era, I would say the past a few decades, I guess, maybe 100 years. I wouldn't say 100 years. 1920s. It really started, it got bad during the 1960s. It seems like once that hippie era, that's when dog nuttery really started to pick up. The hippie era, Aleister Crowley era, started to get real bad. Then in the 80s, there was a big boost, right, in dog nuttery. But then there was another one, the one that we're dealing with now. And this one started, I want to say, around the 1990s. 1990s, when there was this gangster rappers everywhere with dog DMX, where a bunch of people started to associate having a pit bull with looking hard and gangster and hip, and that, I think, morphed or regressed into where we at right now. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right, so let me get out of here, people. I just wanted to ramble about this scary, creepy, very sad story. Reading about these sacrifices always disturbing. So hopefully we can have some more uplifting subjects here in the near future. I'm gonna have to make it a point to laugh. I'm gonna have to make it a point to deal with something that's kind of lighthearted or something, even though as hard as that may be. This has to be balanced in order to make it tolerable. Man, oh man. So be safe out there, people. Be safe. Stay healthy as we continue with this crusade against these worthless mutants and their enabling owners.